what's up guys? It's Mika. Welcome back to my little old channel. It is part 2 of my Tokyo tour guide series, and today we're talking all about shopping. Right now I have made a makeshift tripod out of a suitcase, an eyeshadow palette, my Yui Boom, and a pot noodle. So there's potential for catastrophe here, but we're just gonna power through it because I really can't wait to film this video. I feel like there's not one video on YouTube that goes into as much detail as I am gonna get into, but one of the main reasons I love Tokyo and Japan is the amazing fashion. Today I'm going to take you through all the best places to shop in Tokyo. And my #1 favorite place to shop is probably somewhere you've already heard of. It's called Harajuku. It is a kind of sub area of Shibuya. If you go to the station in Shibuya, there are a few places to shop. I'll get into that later. I wanted to start with Harajuku because I feel like that's where most of the action is, and that's definitely where all my favorite stores are, and that is where most of my favorite vintage is. I feel like to do Harajuku properly you need 2 or 3 days. It's a process, okay guys, so you have to be committed to the cause. So in Harajuku area you've got malls, you've got vintage, you've got market style streets, and you've got your high street, pretty much everything. I would recommend starting at La Foret. La Foret is a great introduction to Japanese fashion. It's a big mall right in the center of Harajuku. It's a great landmark to basically ground you to Harajuku and for me to explain the rest of my map to you guys. It's a giant mall. It's impossible to miss. It's got like 8 floors, over 150 stores. It's like a department store. One of my favorite stores, albeit the most expensive store in La Foret, is called Great, GR8, and there you will find indie designers, all like big designer brands like Off-White, there's Heron Preston, then you got Palm Angels, you got Amelia, and there were all these like cool Korean brands I had never heard of. Got Balenciaga, but I feel like it's very curated. There's like everywhere has a really small segment, just like a rail. If you're a big brand, maybe you have a few rails in there, and it's laid out like a maze and you can just get lost in it. They have all these sick sunglasses and bag displays, and even the store itself is just so beautiful to walk around. And I swear to God, like all of the guys and girls that work there look like they just fell out of a music video. Their style is impeccable, they are all beautiful, they all have amazing hair, and the service in there is really good. It's an incredible place, even if you can't afford some of the pieces. Like, it's an incredible place to go for inspiration. That's all I have to say about Great. It is, dare I say, it's great. Some other stores I just thought I would drop in there so you guys have kind of a reference of where to go to. A store called LHP Women. LHP is like a chain of stores as well, so you'll probably see a few of them, but it's just really funky women's wear. They also have menswear stores, but the one in La Foret is women's wear. There's another place called ID Fractal, which is kind of more like urban street and has a lot of like cyber street pieces. If you are into more of the girly and less of the streetwear stuff, but you still like funky popping clothes, if you watch this channel you probably do like a little bit funky popping clothes, then Jóutie or whatever. It's like really fun, cute, like girly, colorful shit. The last place I would recommend, which is probably one of my favorite places in the mall, is called XU. They stock loads of really cool Korean brands, like streetwear brands. It's very kind of got like a dark gothic feel to the shop as well. But yeah, that will take you a minute because there is a lot to look at. I would recommend doing that and Takeshita Street in one day. Takeshita Street, let's move on to that. So I would say this brings the kind of Camden feel of the area, in the sense that it's more of like a market street, and the things you're gonna find on Takeshita Street are a couple vintage stores. There's more market stall kind of shops with like cheaper, more like typical Japanese street style shops. You can find tons of Japanese makeup down there. Whole stores just dedicated to makeup, so you can get your contact lenses, you can get your eyelashes and try any Japanese makeup. Crepes, they've got tapioca, they've got like a giant rainbow candy floss. So if you want to get treats and sweets, then like everything is down there. They also have a WeGo, which is kind of the equivalent of Japan's like Urban Outfitters. The store's interiors are always really dope. So there's a couple opposite each other when you walk onto Takeshita Street if you're coming from that Foret. And one you go downstairs and it's massive. As soon as you walk down, you'll definitely get those Urban Outfitter feels. There's one across the road which is just for women. It has more like bags, accessories and stuff like that. If you keep walking, then there's a couple vintage stores I just thought I'd mention because they are pretty cool. The first one you're going to come across is Florida, and it's above a makeup store, and it's like 2 floors as well. I feel like the second floor is more popping, but they kind of have like vintage sweatshirts, t-shirts, trousers. It's just a classic vintage store. And then another one that you're gonna find if you keep walking down, and then on your left there's like some stairs that go down. There's a place called Chicago. And that's kind of another typical vintage store. They got guys and girls stuff. Got like your windbreakers, your overalls, your sweaters, your kimonos, your shorts, your skirts, your scarves, like all your kind of classic little vintage pieces. And Florida and Chicago are actually chain vintage stores. So if you see any all over Tokyo, like you can go in, check it out and probably find something cool. Sum it up, Takeshita Street, you've got a little bit of everything, but mostly I would say it's just kind of like novelty stores. You've got a lot of like touristy things like anime shirts and Pokemon bags, and then like knockoff like brand stuff and like fake stuff and like a little bit of that. Moving on to my favorite, the vintage. Let's talk about the vintage. Oh my god, I mean, it just has a special place in my heart. Just had to rearrange my camera because my pot noodle was slipping a bit. Yeah, unsurprisingly, I've made friends with a lot of people who work in these stores. I mean, when you walk the back streets of Harajuku where all the vintage is, I don't think I've ever seen so many cool, well-dressed people in one area in my life, and that is why I'm obsessed with taking all the street style snaps that you see on my Instagram. I want to do something that I've actually never done on my YouTube before. I'm going to do a live drawing on a map to really help you guys understand what I'm talking about, because it is a minefield. There is so much and I really don't want you guys to miss anything. As a point of reference, I would say start at Harajuku Street. So if you put Banny Store into your maps, that's the road you need to be on, and you can just do a straight shot and walk down that road, and that is going to take you to like a world of incredible vintage. So Banny Store is one of my favorite stores. It's like a streetwear store. They have new things, they have old things. Their vintage is incredible. I've bought some amazing things from there. Yuda loves it as well, and I have a friend that works there, Soy, and he's like the coolest little kid, man. He's got the coolest hair always, and he introduced me to his boss as well, who like runs the store, and she owns like a bunch of the vintage stores down Harajuku Street, all curated, and a lot of it is like from LA and stuff, and it's just incredible stuff. So Banny Store is where I would start. I keep walking, and honestly, on your left, on your right, on your left, on your right, vintage. But my other favorite stores and places you definitely have to check out are Pinup. Pinup is just like the cutest store of life. It's like a girly vintage haven. They've got trinkets and like pink shit all over the walls as well. They have like a whole the whole Spice Girl Barbie collection just like chilling there. And that's where I found my Hilary Duff tour t-shirt from like 2005. Like keep walking down, you've got Vostock on your right, which has got like crazy amount of vintage t-shirts. Bud and Kinsella. Obviously I'll write a list of all of these shops so you can go and check them out, but pretty much you're just walking a straight shot down that road and it's left, right, go into every store. And I'm sorry because you're gonna be broke. Okay, this is when I need my maps. I'm not gonna be able to explain this, so I'm gonna be drawing on my iPad and I'm recording as we go, so I'm showing you. So this is where La Foret is, and then we walked down here and we did Takeshita Street, which is all the way up there. Okay, and then we crossed the road and then we went down here. And this is where all the crazy vintage stores, and it kind of stops there. And then we walk down here. Now down here, all of these back streets, it's an archipelago of vintage. Right down to where it says Omotesando. This is when you enter. Down here, this is all your designer stores, okay? This is all your designer stores. So some shops that I would put in your maps just to have point of reference is Warp. Warp is a really cool little streetwear store down those back streets. Put in like the Supreme store, that'll take you down where all the kind of like streetwear brands are, like Half and other little hype beast things. And then if you put in X Girl, that's gonna take you around the kind of very back of Harajuku, and that's the street where it kind of all breaks off. On the opposite side here, this is where like Cat Street is, and there's some more back streets here. There's not as much, but this is where you get more of your high street stores. I don't really know, guys, if that helped or if it made things worse. Now I'm going to quickly talk about Shibuya. You can walk to Shibuya from Harajuku and vice versa. Like, they're really, really close. Like I said, it's in the same kind of like district. So if you put in Shibuya 109, it'll probably take you the route that I think it's going to take you. You'll walk past a place called Club Park. It's worth stopping in there. It's a really cool little streetwear store. Once you get to Shibuya, I mean, to be honest, I'm not that inspired by the shopping around Shibuya. There's a shopping mall called Shibuya 109, which is kind of cute, but it's a bit like basic for me. And then they have some other stores. I mean, they've got your high street, they've got Bershka, they've got Adidas, they got all your things. A place that I would check out, it's like a chain, they're kind of everywhere. They've got some in Harajuku, so you don't really need to go to Shibuya. Shoe store, clothing store called Atmos, which is just specific to Japan, and yeah, they have really cool stuff in there and do like exclusive one-offs with a lot of like footwear brands. I realize this has been a super long video, so I'm gonna try and round it up by just quickly dropping in one of my other favorite places to vintage shop, and it's a little bit more affordable as well, so you definitely should go and check it out if you're hungry for vintage, and it's called SHIMOKITAZAWA. So it's a place where I honestly think it's better to just get lost because there's so many back streets. It's definitely more affordable. They have more thrifty and kind of like charity shop style stores, but they've also got some really big sick vintage stores. So a couple for point of reference that you should go to are, they've got a WeGo. They actually have a full store that's just vintage in Shimokitazawa, and it's one of the best, most exciting vintage stores I've ever been in. Like, they have like really cool like setups and vintage TVs everywhere, and like really cool old posters, and the clothes are incredible, and it's big, and there's so much to look through, but it's like really cool curated vintage, so I would definitely check that out. There's plenty of flamingos as well. That was the other chain I was talking about, so you can put a couple of those in your maps. My favorite one though is a flamingo I haven't seen anywhere else. I don't know why it has a different name, but it's kind of like super cool and like way cooler than the others, and it's called Flamingo Mabataki. So yeah, I would check that one out. Honestly, there's so many stores there, but I didn't really have a chance to catch names because it was dark, and when we were walking around, it is a fun place to just get lost because there's just so much. Those are my points of reference and definitely places you should go check out, and you will stumble into so many stores along the way. If you want to shop for not clothes but more like anime knickknacks and cosplay things and manga, go to AKIHABARA. They've just got like stacks and stacks of like cosplay stores and like cute little like anime knickknack stores where you can buy like, you know, posters and like little like figurines and like all that kind of stuff if you're into that. But mainly this video was about clothes because I mean, that's all I know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. But yeah, I've really gone above and beyond to make your shopping experience in Tokyo the best it can possibly be. So definitely give this video a thumbs up. And I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you in my next one. Mwah.